Hello and welcome. This is Drew Vision IT Consulting. This is another in our IT Seller Series, Consultative Sales Superiority. Today we're going to talk about RFIs. What are they? What's their purpose? And how should you respond to an RFI? So let's dive right into it. Okay, so this is another ChatGPT definition in less than 100 words. I'd say this definition is accurate. RFI is certainly a first step in the procurement process towards purchasing a product or service. While it can be a formal procurement process, it's not a formal solicitation, meaning a RFI doesn't result in solutions and pricing. Those would be RFQs and RFPs. We'll get into the purpose of RFIs on the next slide. Okay, so what's the purpose of an RFI? Well, for starters, it's the cheapest, most ethical way to solve for the three areas on the screen. An RFQ and RFP take a lot of time and money both to create and for people to respond to. I've written RFPs that cost several $100,000 and months to create. RFI is the most efficient way to, for starters, gather information on the solutions. Maybe the customer and procurement are just unsure what the best approaches are to solving the problem. Maybe there's multiple ways and what technologies or services might be able to address the problem. And RFI is an excellent way to solicit ideas on the capabilities of various vendors and how each would respectively tackle a given problem. Second, it's an easy way to screen vendors, right? Procurement doesn't always know who's the best on the market. Right? You can look at Gartner and Forrester and others to see what they think is the best, but the RFI process is specific to your problem and the use cases that you're looking for, and it's a great way to get a sense of those capabilities that each vendor brings to the table. If they don't align with your objectives, then you can screen them out of the process further. You don't have to solicit them with an RFQ or an RFP just because you solicited them in the RFI process. Then, of course, lastly, it's a great way to inform decision making. You may decide not to pursue it at all. You might decide, okay, well, let's go with plan A or plan B or plan C, and your mix of vendors is different for each approach. An RFI is a very quick and expedient way to get the information that you need and to decide what you want to do next. Okay, so here we are. How to respond to an RFI. Well, I think before you get into how, you should decide first if you should respond. It's an important question. Do you know enough about the customer to give an intelligent answer? Do you know enough about their problem statement? Have you truly qualified it to be able to accentuate the value add that your products and services have? What about your company, your solution, and the way that you do business is most appropriate for that particular client? How much time will it take to respond to the RFI? Are there orals as a part of the RFI? Meaning, are you going to be talking either in a Zoom, a WebEx, a Teams meeting to a wide audience of people to talk about your products and services? Or are you going to be doing it in person? Is there travel involved? The client's not going to pay for you to respond, so you have to do the due diligence to understand the client's situation and need to figure out if it's even appropriate for you to respond. So let's say, number two, you've decided to respond. Well, do you really understand the problem statement? Hopefully you understood this as part of answering number one, should you respond? But do you get the opportunity to ask your customer questions? Do you get to really dig into the problem? How they present the problem to you may not be sufficient to make an informed judgment on the true value add that your products and services have. Number three, who else is responding? How are you different from them? How are you different than the most commonplace, commodity-driven products and services in the market? If you don't have much of a differentiator, then there's really not much to talk about. You're an also-ran. Are you going to win being an also-ran? If you're an also-ran, a commodity broker of products and services, then it's just a race to the bottom. Can you sustain the kind of margins that it takes to win if you have no differentiators? So you've really got to think and be mindful of what does separate your solutions. So if you understand a problem statement, then you can figure out and work backwards to, okay, well, this is our approach. This is how we do it differently. And then that'll give you a competitive edge when it comes to being solicited in the RFQ and the RFP process, which comes subsequently. And then lastly, when you're talking to your client, whether it's just a presentation, PowerPoint, PDF, orals presentation, etc., tell a story, right? What are the benefits and differentiators of your solution? How have you helped other clients? What are those outcomes that you were able to drive for similar problems, right? If you were able to, as an example, lower somebody's cost of goods sold by virtue of your solution, highlight that with specific numbers and results. You may not be allowed to use that customer as a reference, but you can certainly tell the story. And the better you're able to tell a story, the better your client's able to understand your capabilities. Let them understand how much you care and you're committed to their success as well. And I think if you're mindful of these 4 key components of responding to an RFI, you're going to find that you're extremely successful. And with all of that said, I hope you really enjoyed this episode. If you liked it, be sure to hit like and subscribe, and stay tuned for more great True Vision IT consulting content. We'll talk to you soon.